Friday. We are winding the week down, but please, we want to remind everybody, please go get tested if you are able to, if you're feeling any symptoms or no symptoms at all. If you can get in, remember, we were saying you might have to go to a private clinic. If we find out any information about new openings and everything, we're going to pass it along to you lickety split. But as we head into the weekend, there is a project that I'm holding in my hand right now, an endeavor of creative writing. Leadership Journal of Micronesia. This features some of the most well-known, some of the hallmarks, I would say, of our island's history. This spans multiple generations, and we have two of the gentlemen who actually worked on this project. Lorenz Junio, who wrote a passage on Father Duenas himself. So Lorenz, Hafide, welcome to the show, and congratulations. That must be a tremendous honor, and also as an FD graduate yourself.
Yes, it is. It was a really good honor, pretty exciting, really, to be able to leave a continuing legacy for Father Duenas.
All right. And of course, under the tutelage of Lieutenant Colonel Tom Anderson over at UOG, wearing green, like not just in a career, but for life.
Happy day and welcome everybody. And so proud to be able to bring now Lieutenant Junio, former cadet Junio, here to share his story about writing this journal.
Outstanding. And the Colonel was actually the co-editor of the book. So gentlemen, I'd like, and you guys can kind of play off each other, as you see fit. No need to like take turns or anything like that. But some of the, I'm looking at the back page of the book. I've actually read some of these profiles. Absolutely amazing. As someone who grew up here, I mean, we're looking at Agueda Johnston, the amazing educator for whom the school is named. Felix Camacho, of course, a longtime public servant. Michael Cruz, of course, another, is he a full bird colonel now? Dr. Cruz?
He is a full bird colonel.
He is a full bird colonel. Okay, yeah, that's right. He got promoted. And Edward Duenas, who you may know, let me find it. Where's the father of the National Guard, of course. I mean, and then General Roger Leon Guerrero. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. I have had the privilege of being able to interview the general on several occasions and everything. So it spans the range of leadership and everything. But I just kind of like maybe to start out with, there's so many personality profiles you could do when it comes under, the theme of leadership and everything. So probably the most difficult question, the most obvious would be like, how do you actually determine who you would profile?
Well, actually, this whole project actually just came about as a result of an in-classroom assignment. So I tasked the students in our class, our seniors in the ROTC program, to choose one leader from history or contemporary life here in Guam or in Micronesia, and just pick that leader to investigate, to research, and then to ultimately profile. And it was only worth 10% of their grade, which was 100 points at the time. And it was, I didn't direct or guide the students in any way to pick a leader. It just really came out from what their interests were and who they had heard about before. And some of them, we actually went to the Micronesian Area Research Center, which is an incredible trove of history here, and it's actually on the campus of UOG.
Sure.
So we went there with the cadets, the librarian there, Miss Wai-Yi-Ma. She led all the students to kind of look through all the different documents that they have, historical documents all the way back, about as far back as we could go historically here in the region. And the students they chose what leader inspired them, who they were interested in. And then, we gave them a requirement for a certain number of sources that they had to use and conduct interviews. And then this is ultimately what resulted. The students all chose their own historical or contemporary leader to profile.
Mm-hmm. Lorenz, how do you, LT, I should say, how do you define leadership? And what do you think, as a product of this island and this community, what makes a good leader with Guamanian virtues?
I think the beauty of our island is how we're so multicultural, right? We're all interconnected. It's like a family. And growing up, in particular, what I think is a good leader is developing yourself as a follower and then creating future leaders. I think that's the end goal for leadership, is making more leaders, essentially. Jason.
Outstanding. Okay, I want to go back to the Colonel for this next piece, because one of the people that you profiled, someone who did serve, someone who, and that is kind of like the subtext of this chapter, Henry Offishar, a leader who made the ultimate prize, was a major in the Army. I knew Henry. We went to school together. I know his family very, very well. Really good guy. So, Colonel, what honor was that
Yeah.
was that for you to be able to
So
research and to be able to put that to paper?
yeah, so the essay on Henry St. Nicholas Offishar, that was an essay that actually I wrote. Once the students had chosen all the individuals they wanted to profile, I had been interested when I first got to the island to learn more about Henry St. Nicholas Offishar. This is my third year instructing and leading the program here at UOG. So when I first got to the island, obviously I'd heard about the Offishar scholarship that the University of Guam offers strictly to ROTC cadets. So I wanted to learn more about it because this was a scholarship that I was providing, helping provide to our cadets. And it pays full tuition, and it's directed solely for ROTC cadets and students that are in the program or want to be in the program. So since I did some simple research online, and I just realized that there wasn't really something substantive that told the story about who Henry was. And I wanted to be able to, just like the other profiles that our students have done in this journal, to be able to kind of cement who he was for history. Because his life is still relatively accessible right now. People like you who knew him before, his sister Orlean, who I talked to and interviewed for this essay, we're all still around. But 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, we might not be around anymore, and it'll be a lot harder to find out about who he was. So I want to be able to document that now, so that we don't lose to history what a great individual and what led to the development of his character and who he was, that he was willing to give his life for his island and his country.
Absolutely. And a life certainly lost way too soon. But I would dare say that like maybe one of the hallmarks of Henry's leadership and everything was he stood right up when we were when our nation was in harm's way, and he said, like, I'm first man through the door. Like if it goes to protecting my neighbors, my family, my friends, people I don't even know, and everything like that, I want to be that guy. I mean, is there any more testament of leadership than that?
Yeah, absolutely. And all the individuals that I interviewed, what obviously part of the hallmark of Henry's life was he was inspired to serve the country after 9/11, and for the assignment where he was actually killed in service to his country. He had volunteered for that assignment. He didn't have to go. But he said he saw all of his buddies going off to war, serving his country, our country. And he said, I need to go because he felt a duty, to be able to serve right alongside his brothers and sisters in defense of our country in Afghanistan. So truly noble virtues that he displayed. And I wanted our future cadets to be able to know about him, and they'll be able to do that now, through this journal.
Outstanding. Okay. LT, let's go back to you, with your own piece and profiling, someone that so revered, whether you're Chamorro, Filipino, different ethnicities that come and make Guam their home. Everybody understands who Father Duenas is and the significance and how substantial he is to our history and our culture and everything like that. What did you take away from really sitting down and trying to really deep dive into who he was?
Well, Jason, as I did my research, right, being an alumni from Father Duenas, right, I wanted to continue more, to understand more about Father Duenas, right? We always had our memorials, and we discussed about him in school. But as I continued my research, I found that he really was a leader who was so caring for his island. Like our culture in our island is we're like a family, right? Our family-oriented culture. And what I highlighted from his leadership was he was always putting his people first. So the great takeaway I took from him was, at times of adversity, he would always push forward for his people, and that's something as leaders we should always push forward for our family, essentially, Jason.
Beautifully said. Yeah, because it's never going to be easy, and a lot of people just think, okay, well, I want to be the leader, I want to be the boss, I want to be the man. It's once I ascend to a certain level in whatever organization you're in and everything like that, it just gets easy. But I mean, it never gets easy. It only gets harder the more responsibility you take on. But that too is the result of leadership and everything like that. You want to be that person who says, give me the hard job.
Exactly. And at the time, Father Duenas, he took that leadership responsibility, head on. There was a lot of stress going on during that time, but it pushed forward. And it just goes to show his strength and the strength that we should all have. The propensity to continue forth in difficulty.
Now,
So that's the takeaway. What I took away doing my research on probably doing this.
well done. Okay, so, and I love how the fact that you use the word adversity, because one of the people who you profiled, of course, like a legend in Guam politics, the late Angel Santos, someone who never shied away from controversy, but fought for what he believed in, with every breath in his body and everything like that. He basically said, and if what he was believing or what he was fighting for was not the popular opinion, he was going to give it his all, and he did. So what did you guys learn about Angel?
Yeah, and for me to read the essay, it was written by a now lieutenant named Brennan Santos, and he's actually an engineer officer now in the Army. And it was great to see. Again, he chose to profile Angel Santos, and got to learn. I personally got to learn a lot more about Angel Santos. Listen to some of his speeches and the way that he's. Even in such a short life, right? When we think, wow, he we lost him so early.
Mm-hmm.
The great leader that he was, for not just the region, not just for the island, but ultimately island people, have looked across the world to him as inspiration.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of the adversity that he went through, and just the passion that he showed, for his island, for the people, and for the future generations. And that's one thing that I'm so excited about this journal, is that all of our cadets in our ROTC program are clearly future leaders. And that's what we train them. We train them in leadership. We believe that this ROTC program at UOG is the best leadership institution in all of Micronesia, right? So the cadets in our program are the future leaders for not just Guam, Micronesia, but also our country. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's so special that this particular project, we got to help them learn about leadership from great leaders from this region, which is the same thing. They are poised to be future leaders from Guam and Micronesia, impacting the region and our world. So it's great. I was just so inspired by everything they did. And
certainly local cadets may not only be learning about like these wonderful examples of proper leadership and fearlessness and like having conviction to your beliefs, like all of the men and women featured in this journal, but also they'll probably think like, wow, I'm also related to that guy. That person's blood runs through my veins at some point and everything like that. That is my legacy.
Yeah, and hopefully that inspires our cadets too, because the majority of the people that were profiled, their feet were on the same ground that their feet have been on, the last 4 years in our program.
Exactly.
All across Guam and looking just like them, trying to look to the future and say, what does it mean to be a leader, and what do I need to possess to be able to influence and inspire people to do great things for our island and our nation.
Now, Colonel, I just want to ask you real quick, because you're a West Point man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yep, I graduated from West
I
Point.
do know from what I've read, I believe when cadets are taking leadership classes and combat tactics at West Point, they study the great military leaders of history. Apparently there's like a whole section just on Alexander the Great, and like what a wonderful tactician he was. What will this journal, and it's of course volume 1, expected that there will be several more of these, what will this documentation be for our cadets going forward, to say like, the model that they can follow, and the footsteps that came before them, and some of the lessons, and maybe even honestly maybe some of the missteps that that these leaders took? What can we learn from that?
I mean, yeah, I think it's certainly actually today I'm going to drop off 2 copies to both the JFK library, the RFK library here on campus of UOG, as well as the Micronesian Area Research Center, because I think this is a great opportunity for us to create an artifact, that will tell these stories, for time to come, for ages to come. And I think just like, John F. Kennedy, wrote Profiles in Courage.
Mm-hmm.
And, also Theodore Roosevelt wrote a great compilation called Hero Tales. Those are stories that have lived, forever to influence future leaders. And I think in the same way, these stories that we've captured here can hopefully do the same thing. And for sure for our cadets, especially since, past cadets, for our current cadets, wrote these essays. For sure, it's something that we're going to help utilize to help them become better leaders.
And hopefully, maybe a few years down the road, LT, one of the featured leaders, one of the featured essays may be about you.
Oh, well, hope so, Chris. Hope I can make such an impactful leadership and legacy for the future generations.
Mm-hmm. What did you personally, maybe give me a real quick summary of what you took away from this? Because obviously you've been through, leadership training, and your chosen career is, you want to be a leader of men and women to make the right decisions and to do the right thing to achieve a very specific goal. But in putting this essay together and reading the work of others and everything, what do you take away from this, that you can incorporate into your own leadership style?
I guess the one takeaway, right, from all the many featured leaders is here at the ROTC program, right, they develop us and teach us transformational leadership skills. But the main takeaway is taking the personal aspect of, or the aspect of how these individuals, some, for example, like Claude Duane, Agata Johnson, who had like no military experience whatsoever, but were able to, even despite facing adversity, they are able to continue. So I guess that's the main takeaway, that whether it be in the civilian or military side, it's just to keep like having the courage to like push forward. That's my main takeaway from the featured leaders from this journal. It's from what the rest of my predecessors and my peers in creating the book did.
Well done. Well, my Army instructor when I was in ROTC, 4 best years of my life, told me the best example of a leader. You're not perfect. You're completely self-aware of your flaws, and you openly admit that, and you can always do better.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
So Colonel, we got some people on Facebook right now in the comments asking, okay, where can we get this? And because you said you're going to drop it off at the library, and Mark, not really a real long hike for you, I would say, if you're over there at UOG. A little bit of a stroll, but people asking, can they actually find it online as well?
Yep. So folks can just go to uogpress.com, and it's right there on the front page. Or you can just go into Google. I did it yesterday and just type in Leadership Journal of Micronesia, and it'll take you right to the UOG Press page. It's $10 a copy, so we're not making much money on it. Just trying to get the stories out so that people can be inspired by the great leaders that have come from our region. And I think there's no shipping. You can pick it up free from the UOG Press office here on the UOG campus, or they can ship to you just for an extra fee. And all that's online, like I said, at uogpress.com.
Well done. Well, it's excellent work, Colonel and LT. Thank you guys for doing this, and for your team and putting this together. Very, very necessary work. And like I said, volume 1, and we hope the first of many more to come.
Yes, thank you so much, and Viva UOG and Viva the island of Guam.
Viva UOG. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Stay safe. We wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sit tight, everybody. We are going to take a little break, but when we come back, we've got today's Cover Me song, so stay tuned. That's coming up next.
Make it through the week